Yes, guys, welcome back to Chasing Green Arrows. It's Monday, and we've not had a Premier League round, but we had to come and do our normal Monday show because whilst there was no Premier League football over the weekend, Dean Jones, there was a lot of drama in the games.
There was, yeah. Well, big win for my boys, mate. Fulham march on and potentially leave me with a dilemma down the road, mate. If Fulham end up getting to an FA Cup final and I'm 5,500 miles away, then got a big chat to have with the wife about me heading home for 48 hours, haven't I?
That's an expensive ticket with the flight from San Diego included, but in that price consideration. But yeah. How's the draw looking for Fulham? Who'd you get?
I got Palace at home.
That's a proper 50. I mean, we were there with the assistant manager chip not so long ago going, that is the most 50-50 game to call. And you said on that day it was the worst Fulham had played all season and Palace turned up. But
it's not a bad draw, but be very Fulhamish to win at Old Trafford on penalties and then lose at home to Crystal Palace 2-0 or something. So we'll see. I'll try and stay level-headed. But yeah, obviously loads of injuries. That's why we're here today. Most people have got big conundrums coming up in terms of like who they stick with, who they transfer out, who they potentially just drop for a week and hope for the best, and who the replacements are going to be. So this is where you come into your element, mate, and you provide us with all the inside track on our best outlets.
Do you know what? I can come into my element because I have my ear to the ground when it comes to any FPL injury or suspension. Of course I do. It's topical. It's big news in the FPL community when there is a big name injury or suspension. But more so because my team is absolutely lit up like traffic lights. So yeah, we've got to discuss all the big names, including Mateta, who came off around the 80th minute, I think it was. Good to see so many in the chat. Dean is going to Wembley, says Maliki. Good to see you, Maliki, and Matthew and Paul and Colin. Loads of our channel members coming up there in bold. Nathan and Brian. Some of my members in there as well. Freddie and FPL Slackers is in. FPL Slackers is from Vancouver and he's a Whitecaps fan. So he went to the first MLS game in Vancouver the other day, which he was buzzing about.
Yeah,
nice.
I
know you went to the first San Diego game recently.
I did go to the first San Diego game on Saturday. Yeah, that was fun. Didn't get the goal though. Vancouver got a bit more to celebrate than I did. But yeah, I had a great time. Had a lovely time.
What's the atmosphere like?
It was good. Yeah, I mean, we've got a big Mexican culture here, so there was a lot of Mexican ultras leading the way with their drums and their flag waving, and I'm in the supporters section, so yeah, there was loads of noise. It was good fun.
I loved your Instagram stories. I meant to comment. I don't know if it sent through. It said sending in, and I don't think it went, but your post-match analysis was like, yeah, it's all right. Look, we got a draw, keeping clean sheets. But you kept referring to the team as they, not we. And I was like, oh, you're not there yet in terms of...
I didn't know that. Yeah. I'm trying. I really try to embrace it. I always try to embrace my local team anyway. We are San Diego FC.
Love that. And you've got a season ticket.
So I've got a season ticket. You haven't got a Fulham season ticket anymore, have I? So there you go.
Part of the dream. If you're gonna move City, like part of that attraction is, I get to move City and I can go and support the local team. And for you, it's like the newest MLS franchise.
Yeah, it's filled a massive void in my life. I have to say that. Like I really enjoyed like going for a few drinks before and then going to the game and stuff with the friends I've obviously made here. So yeah, it was great. Yeah, more on that over at Ranks FC if you want to hear about my San Diego adventures.
Slackers will love Ranks FC. If you don't already check it out, FPL Slackers, because he loves European football in general. But Ranks FC is a must-listen-to podcast.
Yeah, jump over to Ranks and you'll hear.
I've had to stop listening to it because I get already 3 hours a Dean a week, and just for the same reason you wouldn't watch my YouTube channel. It's like you get enough of me.
Right?
Yeah, but genuinely cannot name a better European football podcast out there.
Thank you, very kind. It's all now global, because we've gone way into MLS as well now.
Yeah.
So that's been good.
A bit, I might go back there.
Yeah, do it, mate.
The occasional listen. Go on.
Yeah, listen, we got some big things to discuss. Mateta, Isak, Cunha. I tell you what, actually, I went through a minute ago when I was recording Ranks, actually. And was just like, I was talking to Jack and I said, hang on a second, let me just have a quick look at who is actually missing at the moment in terms of like people that we could have as striking options in FPL. Havertz, Nicholas Jackson, Mateta, Dom Solanke, Mateus Cunha, Gabby Jesus, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Ndiaye, Brozier, Antonio. Like, there are so many forwards.
That's mad. It is the
It's a
forwards,
mad
isn't it?
list, isn't it?
That
Like,
is. I mean, that's why Chris Wood's so popular. Not just because he's scoring goals, but it's slim pickings.
it is
No, Chris
pickings
Wood's
now,
been
yeah.
amazing. But...
Yeah, so I'm kind of excited that we're in this position. I'm also glad I don't have Mateta or Cunha, so I've
got both. My last two transfers in were those two players. Of course they were. You know,
that's it.
I've also got Lewis Hall.
Oh, this is tough for you.
Let's have a look at my team real quick, just to show you the
team up,
team. This gives us our talking points to go through each of these players, because I pretty much own them all. We will talk about players like Matoma as well, but when we just see, like I tweeted this morning, I've got Mateta, Cunha, Isak, Lewis Hall, but then I've also got Dango and Rico Lewis, just two players that probably aren't first 11 anymore.
Oh my God, your entire front three is out.
Literally. I mean, I feel, let's go through one by, I mean, let us know how many like players you guys have got out injured and where you stand with it, guys. Like, who else has the Mateta, Cunha, Isak front three? Let's start with the positive news. Eddie Howe did say Isak just felt something and it was precautionary why he came off. Now, is he risked in game week 28, knowing the cup finals round the corner? Or do you go give him 60 and if he feels anything comes off, because there's a week between the fixtures? There's a week from the FA Cup to 28 and there's a week from 28 to the FA Cup, to the EFL. So do you just give him 60 minutes?
I just don't see why you would. Like, obviously, Gordon, we're waiting to see how long Gordon's banned for as well, right?
Yes, we don't know. They're appealing, aren't they?
They're appealing, but you know, it was a total head loss moment. I don't think he should be playing Isak at West Ham with that Carabao Cup final in mind. I just think, like, if Isak doesn't play the Carabao Cup final, you can't win it.
True.
It's as simple as that.
Probably no Gordon either, so you know.
And especially if Gordon's not going to be there either. So I think I've got Isak. I've only got Isak out of those three. But I'll probably be getting him out. Obviously, Newcastle have a blank after this week as well. So I think like it's a reasonably safe thing to do to get rid of Isak.
Got to get rid. Unless you're free hitting in 29 like me, you can then maybe keep him because you go, I don't need him for 29 and he'll be back by game week 30. And Newcastle do have a double game week.
They do have a double coming up, yeah. So you'll want him back by then if he's okay and stuff. But as it stands right now, he just surely has to go. You know, was it 9.4 million? Like, it's just such a big chunk to be missing.
Dropped in price since I made this graphic.
Yeah. So that's a dilemma. I've looked at my team and I'm tempted by Haaland.
Yes.
Yes. The only way I could get Haaland, if I got rid of Isak and Cole Palmer,
yes,
I could get Haaland and either Minte or Sarr.
Perfect. That's what I'm looking at. But you can't do it in 28 because of Palmer playing Leicester. You can do it in 29 though.
But honestly, I wanted to swear then at Palmer. Get out of my life. No. Get out of my life. Like, I don't want to stick. Mate, 2 weeks ago, I did a video saying, against the obvious, Cole Palmer, get him out. Certainly don't sign him, but consider getting him out. Not only did I not do that, I picked him and then I captained him the next week.
Yeah.
And he's just blanked and blanked. So, yeah, Leicester at home is a great fixture. Yes, he's done an Instagram post saying he'll make up for it. But he's playing like a version of himself we've never seen before.
The one-on-one he didn't hit was just like, oh, man. Not only do you hit that first time every time, but you lob the keeper, you do something silky. He's clearly low on confidence. But, yeah, for Leicester, low on confidence.
So, I don't know. Like, it's a huge risk to get rid of Palmer because I imagine everyone that's got him still keeps him for right now.
Yeah.
Some people might even sign him.
You can sell him. It's Arsenal away, so you don't expect much. People won't sell him in 29 because they'll be desperate for 11 players. It's a blank. So there are people out there saying they're going to buy Haaland and they're going to sell Mo Salah. Ludicrous. I can't. I cannot comprehend selling
No,
the
I
game's
mean,
best player. Now, Haaland's a good pick, but look, we'll get more on Haaland and fixtures later and chip
yeah,
strategy. Let's just
yeah,
run through these injuries. Cunha, Mateta, or suspensions and injuries, and Hall, the other three we need to discuss. Cunha's 4 games. You have to sell him. Like, there is no point in keeping Cunha. He doesn't have a double game week coming up. Cunha
yeah,
is an immediate sell. I'm annoyed because I bought him in rush of
yeah,
blood right at the deadline. I had Ollie Watkins and I went, I'm just going to get Cunha with a free transfer. Cunha, Watkins, and Watkins got the assist. And now I want Watkins in my team. It would look lovely. Cunha's got to be sold. He's the one player I can confirm I am selling this week. From all of
yeah.
this mess, the only one I can guarantee is going to be sold, I think, is Cunha. I think. Mateta, what do you make of that? Horrific challenge. We haven't seen a challenge like that in the Premier League since Roy Keane. Not Roy Keane. Yeah. No, I don't know. No, I'm thinking of the Kung Fu kick to an audience at Cantona. Which ironically was at Selhurst Park. Good quiz
Yeah,
question. He wasn't playing against Palace. It was Wimbledon.
yeah.
How long's Mateta out for? Because he doesn't play in 29. Game week 30 is a month away, the 1st of April. So he should be back by 30. He ain't going to play in 28 though, is he?
No, not going to play in 28. So I think that's all we can take it for right now
You
until
can keep him then. Because I'm thinking I'll keep him. He's got a double in 32 and he should be back for 30.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's valid. I think you can keep him on that basis. Because they're going to need him, as soon as he's available and he's coming straight back into this team. Like, yeah, and Ketia might get a chance here, but I don't think that there's any scope that Mateta will be left out for longer. He is, and it's the sort of injury I think he would come back reasonably quick from. So I wouldn't be too worried about that one. I think that the Cunha one is a lot worse. I tell you what, with Cunha, you got really unlucky because Everton at home, Southampton away,
I know.
West Ham home, Ipswich away. It was a really nice run of
Better
games.
than Ollie Watkins. It was just
But
better fixtures.
you could just bring in Strand Larsen, who's going to replace him.
Yeah, it's fair. Like you could.
5.2 million, Strand Larsen. Big opportunity for him to prove a point. 4 easy-ish fixtures, if you can call it that.
I just don't trust Wolves to score goals without Cunha. A bit like going, I can buy an Arsenal player that's cheaper than Saka, but because Saka's not there and buy Ranieri or whatever. But then the team just doesn't score because they're missing the best player.
I don't think Strand Larsen is that bad. I think that the
He's
gap,
good.
the fall off, like if he can make the most of that opportunity, I don't think it's a terrible replacement.
Agreed.
Cunha. I don't think many people will be
I like him. And Evan Nilsson, a similar price point, is back. And we'll talk more about Dango, but I've put a question mark by Dango. He was the next best thing coming in for a few weeks ago. We thought Evan Nilsson was going to be out longer than he was. Evan Nilsson started in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
Evan Nilsson is back ready to start game week 28. He is the first choice striker at that football club. And I was hoping Dango would have played so well that they'll find a space from out wide. Well, the problem is Justin Kluivert and Semenyo are also playing really well. And on the right-hand side, he likes Tavernier or Brooks. So Dango ain't getting in the 11. Evan Nilsson is, and he's like 5.6 or whatever he is. He's an option. The other big injury that's highly owned is Lewis Hall. And Eddie Howe is the worst manager to try and get a steer on if you can sell or keep Lewis Hall, because we didn't even know Lewis Hall was out.
Yeah.
Until the match day squad in the FA Cup. Oh, there's no Lewis Hall. He's apparently been referred to a specialist with an ankle problem. He got injured in the last game against Liverpool, against Mo Salah. Ankle problem. Shock. And it's like, Lewis, we're not going to hear from Eddie Howe if Lewis Hall's back available in game week 30 or 31 or the double in 32. So he's going to keep dropping in price and, probably a sell for most. I'll probably just end up benching him and hope he plays in 32, which is in 6 game weeks' time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's come away from my team anyway. I don't want to look at it any longer.
Most people have 2 of Isak, Cunha,
do they?
Mateta in their lineup. Yeah, 45% have 2, 42% have 1, only 6% have 3. So,
and I voted in that.
You are extremely unfortunate to be in that final band, just as your season had really had an upturn, mate, as well. It
was all looking so good. Like I was different chip strategy to everyone else. Like Mateta was obviously central to my 29 free hit. No Mateta now. It's like, okay, I'll still keep you. But I ain't making any decisions on even my chip strategy until Friday press conferences, because I hope we'll get an update maybe on the Newcastle players a little bit, but definitely an update on the Palace players. And I'm still looking to buy a Palace player this week if I free hit 29. Sarr, Eze, both on my radar. Probably Saar because he's so much cheaper. And I could go Saar in for Dango and then Cunha out for Haaland in 2 weeks' time.
Do you think many people will now throw their wild card or free hit in earlier than they were planning on the base of this? Like,
some will now some will now see all these injuries and suspensions and go, I actually need to free hit in 29, which is fine to consider. The problem is the way the projections have come out. I'll just show you this ticker real quick, Dean, and then let's talk about Haaland individually and Salah and the big names. Let me just show you the ticker from Planet FPL. This is from FPL Team. I just screen grabbed it earlier. We know 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 is locked. We know there is a blank in 29 and a double in 32 for Palace and Newcastle. 33 onwards is all predictions based on the FA Cup draw, bookies odds, and gaps in the schedule. The next round of the FA Cup will tell us loads more about who does actually double and blank in 33 and 34 and 36 and 37. But based on where the draw has landed and pure predictions, we can see there's going to be a small doubling, biggish 5 teams, 6 teams, whatever it is, doubling in 33, a blank in 34. The teams that double in 33 do blank in 34. So you cannot have a good team for 33 and a good team for 34 without a chip. You just can't do it. So I'm looking to maybe dead end in 33, wildcard in 34. Okay. But then I won't have an optimal team for the doubles of 36, but whatever. So, yeah, that's where the schedule lands at the moment. But when I look at all of this, there isn't a right and a wrong chip strategy. The obvious will still be to dead end in 29 and wildcard in 30, 31. And to keep that free hit for 33 or 34 or 36, I just can't do it. My 29 team is dreadful without a free hit. I'm looking at 6 players. Like, I just can't do it. And some of those players are the players like Dango and Enzo and Rico Lewis. So I'm going to be using the free hit in 29. And I'm going to go big in 29 on players like... I'm going to take 1 week punts on players like Heung-min Son versus Fulham, on Bruno versus Leicester, on Triple Man City versus Brighton, and just go... I'm going to go old school Premier League consistent point scorers like Son and Bruno and Haaland, and just go, please turn up this week, lads, because you've got the week to do so. Yeah, that's fair. So I think that's where I'm at. I mean, Dean, you mentioned Haaland. Look at these fixtures for Haaland. Like, he's probably going to get a couple of doubles. He might get a couple of blanks, but it's unbelievable that running he's got really from 29. Like, he must have had a pretty tough run, Man City. Yes, they've been losing games and they've been rubbish. They've clearly had some bad fixtures because they've got a brilliant run now for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, exactly. And even just look at the next 3, Forest, Tottenham, Leicester. Is that what it is? Sorry.
Yeah. Forest, Brighton, Leicester.
Sorry. So that in itself, like, just makes me tempt over Haaland, but also obviously at half the price of that, you can go and get Marmoush. Which in itself has to become a consideration. And, you know, again, going back to my team, there's definitely a part of me that wants to get to Haaland, just get on with it and just do it this week. But as I say, I'd probably have to lose Palmer. I haven't looked at other solutions yet, but Palmer's probably the one that would have to go. As a big gamble, I don't know, what would you say over Palmer and somebody else other than Isak, or Haaland and Saar, for example? Like, there's not enough uplift, is there, to get to do the Haaland Saar thing this week and to drop out Palmer? I don't know. Like, it's such a risk because we don't know what we're getting from Palmer. We are expecting that at some point he has to bounce back from this form, and against Leicester, who are abysmal, surely this is the time.
Yeah. I mean,
I want to get rid of it.
Ipswich, so it's also a big upside fixture if you do jump on a Saar. I'm not saying Saar or Eze are a Palmer, and also I guess Ipswich aren't as bad as Leicester, are they?
Not as bad.
Ipswich aren't brilliant. I mean, Man United scored 3 against them.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to have to weigh this one up this week, but ideally I do want to get rid of Palmer if I'm brave enough to do it. I keep talking about it. Wazza says, seriously, Dean, stop bigging up Haaland. It hurts me. Wazza went on to Haaland as his differential a few weeks back to try and make up rank. And he's obviously been one of the few people with Haaland in the game. And he said in our WhatsApp chat earlier, the Chasing Green Arrows one is like, well, if everyone else is picking Haaland from next week, then I've got to get rid of him. I've got to go with someone else. That would be a brave move from Wazza. But yeah, Haaland obviously so expensive, like whatever, 14.7 million or whatever he is these days. Like,
I think he's 14.3. He's dropped a lot.
Oh, has he dropped enough? Okay, they quite a fall off them.
No, sorry, he is 14.7.
There you go.
What was he? His height this season was 15.4.
No. Yeah, so it's just so much, and you can get Marmoush at like 7.2. So maybe I should just get Isak out and bring in Marmoush. Maybe I just
Is there a way of covering City attack without Haaland? I would argue no, because we cannot predict Foden and De Bruyne starts. The last Premier League game, both were dropped out. Like, that's rare. The guy who's starting every game is the right-hand side, Savio, 6.1.
But he's no goal threat at all.
There's no goals and assists. I was like, we can predict the minutes, but we don't get any actual points.
Marmoush is the only one you could really consider.
Because he had that one big game where he
scored a hat-trick. He will play. He's going to play.
He looks good, but is he going to be a point? Like, Haaland just is the XG hog of that team by, like, it's the same as Chris Wood for Forest or Watkins for Villa. I don't think there's a way of covering him.
No, you can't cover Haaland, especially like now that he is starting to come into the goals again. What's he got in recently? He got an 8-pointer against Tottenham, nothing against Liverpool. Then he got 5, a 6, a 12, a 6. So we're getting back into like the sort of trend that you'd get from Haaland as opposed to a few weeks back when you're getting 2-2s and 0s. Like, I think we've turned the corner from that point. I think Man City I don't know if they finish strongly, but I think Haaland can finish strongly. He'll still be gunning for that golden boot to see if he can catch Salah. Yeah. So I think that's worth considering.
Yeah, exactly. Should we do a poll? Do you think you'll own Haaland from game week 29? Yes or no? Because what I see is blank game week 29 comes around and everyone's going to panic. There's no Mo Salah. You need a captain. Yeah. People get nervous on captaincy. They don't like captaining a Brian Mbeumo who plays Bournemouth or a Chris Wood who plays Ipswich. Even though Wooden and Mbeumo are brilliant, people don't like giving them the armband because they want to captain an expensive player, a premium, whatever. Which makes sense. If you look at Haaland as the best captaincy option in 29, which arguably is, got Brighton at home, you see goals in that fixture, and then he's playing Leicester in 30. The world and their dog are going to move heaven and earth to get Haaland in, aren't they? So yes or no, will Haaland being a team in 29? I'm expecting over 50%. And I bet right now only 2% of you owns him. Everyone's going to move there. Yeah,
exactly. Early signs are about 60% of people saying yes. So it looks like that's the way most people will be going. If you're not picking Haaland, tell us why and tell us how you think you'll cover the potential for everybody to be on him. Because, it looks like at least half the game will be switching to Haaland pretty soon.
It's about half, isn't it? Let this one breathe. After this, we'll do a poll. Is your route to Haaland? Is your cash cow for Haaland Salah, Palmer, or is there another route?
It has. I mean, like you said earlier, like to anyone that's getting rid of Salah is absolute anarchist. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I hate that.
Absolute chaos. Like, you can't.
His fixtures are good.
It's the only player in the game that is like irreplaceable. I think.
Agreed.
I really think he's just the only player that, if you haven't got Salah, then you just got no chance of doing well. Like, it's just the way it is. Like, you see, there's always a player that is like that, whether it's Haaland or Salah, whatever.
People say you can sell Salah now because the focus will be Champions League and easing off in the Premier League because the league's already won. I would say it's Everton, Fulham, West Ham, Leicester, Spurs. Salah wants every individual accolade going. There's still the contract issue. Whether he stays or not, he wants to clock those huge numbers. For the same reason why Salah doesn't get subbed. Like, Salah is there for points all the time.
He might get a few, he might get a breather more than he has previously this season because of the double-ended sided thing of having the Champions League and also Liverpool basically being home and dry to win the Premier League soon. But they're not going to rest on their laurels just yet. And Salah will want that golden boot. He wants the Ballon d'Or. So he wants to be out there as much as possible. The Ballon d'Or means a lot to him. And if the way he gets that is to win the Golden Boot, to win the league, obviously to win the Champions League as well. But even if he doesn't get the Champions League, he's still going to have a big shot at getting that Ballon d'Or that he
As long as
wants.
Real Madrid don't win the Champions League, he's got a chance getting the Ballon d'Or, isn't he? If Real Madrid win the Champions League, it doesn't matter how good Salah is.
maybe, and but people will say there'll be sympathy votes for Vinny Jr. to get the Ballon d'Or, but Vinny's got to deliver still, or Bellingham or whoever. And look, Real Madrid just lost at the weekend 2-1 to Real Betis. So
Isco, come on, baby.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
Isco
big Champions
League. The big knee slide celebration against his former club. I love that.
I know, yeah. And then did you see he kissed his wife? He was right behind the goal. Bizarre,
really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, she like slides and then he runs over. So like a photographer and like kisses her on the lips.
Wow.
I was like, wow, that's a big statement. Yeah. And then I was like, surely he knows her. I was like, oh yeah, it's his wife. I was like, why is his wife like the official photographer? Like that's random. Anyway,
it's a 50-50 vote on will you own Haaland from 29. Another alternative route some have said will be selling Isak and Trent, which is also an option. Like Trent can be used as a cash cow. So yeah, I guess there's big options there, but.
Yeah, I mean, just a reminder to everyone, like, don't make any transfers at the moment. You've got Aston Villa, Arsenal playing on Tuesday in the Champions League, Liverpool playing the Champions League on Wednesday. Obviously, Forest are playing Ipswich today.
Chris Wood rested.
Is he rested? That's good. I mean, Thursday, Tottenham and United. I'm not sure how much those games actually affect most people in FPL anymore. But
well, yeah, because no one's picking them assets. But they will be going. You will see full strength teams now from. Well, you have been actually already for Man United. But yeah, What do you make of the Champions League games? Because you mentioned there Arsenal and Villa playing Tuesday. If you play Tuesday, your second leg of the Champions League is the following Wednesday, and you play on the Premier League on say the Saturday. So they have 3 games in 8 days. Manageable for the likes of Ollie Watkins or Gabriel to play all those 3 games. For Liverpool, they play Wednesday against PSG, Saturday against Southampton, Tuesday against PSG. It's 3 and 6. That schedule is a lot harder. Knowing it's Southampton on the Saturday at Anfield, how do we feel about minutes for Salah, for Trent? If Luis Diaz starts against PSG, and I think he might, Gakpo's a brilliant punt.
I know. Well, I've got Gakpo still.
Luis Diaz starts. If Gakpo starts, though, you've probably got to sell Gakpo.
Yeah, I don't think Gakpo will start the Champions League one, and I think he'll start against Southampton. That's my
what an own that is.
So that could be great for me. Like Gakpo obviously had him for the last 2 game weeks, and it's been a disaster. But this is when I might get some payback for taking that punt on him and at the moment I'm looking at my attacking options and I'm glad I've got Gakpo in there already. I haven't got to make a transfer. I've got 3 free transfers in the bank at the moment already.
Well,
so
mate, you're smashing it.
I'm in a nice situation there, yeah. But yeah, my hunch would be that PSG away, Gakpo probably won't start.
Because obviously he's not first choice, or because of the recovery still from
probably just the recovery and the way it's been going.
That's where I'm at. He is first choice, but the way Luis Diaz has played is good, and Gakpo's been out a while.
Yeah, I guess the only thing you'd have to decide is whether Diaz is a bit of a risk for a game like that. Like PSG are a very good team.
And they've been hitting big amounts of goals, haven't they? Let's just show those Liverpool fixtures. I've got them on screen, Dean, just so we can visualise that schedule. But carry on PSG.
They're probably the dark horses at this stage to actually go on and win the Champions League because they've had a great season. They've put together a team that is far from when they had all the like big hitters of Messi and Mbappe and Neymar and stuff. But they've got a young crop now. Ousmane Dembele has been on fire. Bradley Barker.
I've just put him in my fantasy team for you get a wild card before the quarterfinals. So I've gone Dembele as my only PSG attacker.
Yeah, nice. He came off after an hour as well at the weekend when they beat Lille 4-1. But PSG have just got a really nice team. And in Joao Neves, he's having an unbelievable season in the midfield. So it'll be a really interesting battle. But PSG, for as good as they've been, and they've won games they've won a couple of games 7-0 recently and things like that. Like as good as they've been, they're not regularly playing at the level of Liverpool. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
they saw off Man City not too long ago. They came back, but again, that was a frail Man City team, and it's just not the same. So when you look at these fixtures, like Liverpool will just be looking to kind of keep themselves in that game at PSG. Like Liverpool, I would expect to win the second leg. Like if that's there, then they've got it. They just can't lose like 2-0, for example, this game.
They'll be happy with a draw, wouldn't they, in Paris?
Yeah, I think so. So it'll just be a case of game management from Slot in terms of like, one, not taking risks with personnel, but two, not taking risks in terms of tactics. We've seen that. He hasn't taken any risks on yellow cards, on playing players that shouldn't be playing.
Brings him off, doesn't he?
So he takes them
Straight
off.
away.
So that's what makes me think that Gakpo won't necessarily start that first game and then does use the Southampton game to build up and then go into that PSG game as a starter. That's what I'm hoping anyway.
What about, let's do a poll. How many minutes does Salah's going to play 90 against PSG twice, right? How many minutes does Salah get versus Southampton? Let's do a poll for 0 to 30, 30 to 60, 60 to 90? No, 60 to 80 and then 90.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I reckon he plays 75. I think he starts. I think we still captain him versus Southampton. Salah doesn't miss games. He's a fitness monster. He starts against Southampton for me.
It would just be strange because who would start instead of him?
Chiesa on the right. Can you give Chiesa Southampton? You should be able to.
You should be able to, but I don't know if you can. And also, as soon as you leave Salah out, like it does give the other team a pick me up. Look, I know that Southampton are Southampton, like one of the worst teams we've ever seen in the Premier League. But you're still giving them a little bit of hope. So you want Salah out there, and you want to kill the game off by half time, basically, is what you're looking for.
And it's at Anfield. So he hasn't got to travel because they played the FA Cup game recently and he didn't travel. It was down at Bournemouth or wherever it was. It was like, yeah, you can leave him at home. But the fact
such a big period, though. Like when you look at those 4 games, Southampton is the one that doesn't matter.
I reckon Trent could miss out.
That's the problem with it. Like those other 3 games, Salah has to be out there for pretty much every minute of it. Yeah. Right? So, and what you're saying about Salah's minutes is that, yeah, like if you were to set in a team meeting and be like, okay, so our best player, the ones that are going to define how successful we are in this run-in, do we play him in this one on Saturday against the worst team around? Surely we can do it without him.
And Slot is cautious. Jurgen Klopp, I'd be confident of a start. I remember Klopp playing Salah when he got back from like the AFCON and he had played 6 matches for Egypt in 3 weeks. And it was like ridiculous schedule and he played straight away. Like Klopp was happy to, I don't want to say flog Salah because clearly he had that baseline where the fitness levels were there and Salah wanted to play and Klopp was happy to chuck him a bone. But
yeah,
I feel like Slot's more cautious than that.
Yeah, look, 2 really good points that are a bit opposing, but have just
Ramadan,
come in.
Go on.
Right, so Joseph says Ramadan now for Salah. He never does well and is weak in his body.
I'm not sure that's true that he never does well in Ramadan.
Yeah, you should. I was just thinking actually, you should do a video on that. You should study it. You should do a little Salah video comparing to when he's gone through similar periods. But Geddy has said Salah's just had his rest, not playing this weekend. It's not a bad shout. He had just had a break. So
yeah, no FA Cup is a touch. Like they go into a schedule where they've had no game in before the PSG game, it had been no game in 9 days or whatever it was.
Exactly, and that's a really good point, Geddy. I think we should definitely consider that. FPRO says no chance Salah is rested. He's going for records. He's definitely eyeing the assist record, and this is a game he knows he can go off. In my opinion, as a Liverpool fan, he plays 80 to 90. Wow,
I said 75. I'm kind of with you.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good point. Like, he is a machine. Sokan says Salah has always done well during Ramadan.
It's such an easy narrative to be like, you don't do well.
Joseph said he did bad last year. Maybe he had a bad one last year. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll try and find some data on that. If FPL Slackers is
it's an interesting video. Like, that would be an interesting video for sure to know exactly what Salah's been like during that period. My hunch is that he's been totally fine. Yeah, but
okay. What about Trent? Because Trent doesn't carry Salah's.
You definitely don't play Trent against Southampton at home.
Bradley's out though.
Is
I
he
think.
definitely out
I
still?
don't know. I don't think he's definitely out. I don't know when Bradley's. Let me just check. Bradley was ruled out for a couple of weeks, but feels like it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and he's just
So yeah, the return date is unknown. No, I think Bradley is out. I think he
okay.
is. But you
Oh,
can
I
play
thought he was.
Gomez. Like Gomez right back. Oh no, Christ, Gomez is out, isn't he? He did his hammy. I'm sure you could play. Curtis Jones could fit in it right. I don't know. There'll be an option.
I don't
Tons of
know.
right back.
I would just feel like that's one that a player like Trent could miss.
Yeah, like Kwanzaa came on for Trent the other day at right back. Like,
yeah, Mark says Kwanzaa will play right back.
so
So
I've got Trent in my team. By the way, with all those flags that I showed you earlier of players that aren't playing for me this game week, can we add Trent to the list?
oh dear.
By the way, guys, we are 40 minutes into the show, and for the first time in the show, we've got over 300 of you watching, which is awesome. Thank you. But we're going to ask for a favor. We would love you to hit the like button, and we would love you to hit the subscribe button. So please do consider doing both those things. If you're not already subbed, then please consider it. We stream 3 times a week. We'd love your support. I think Trent will start, says Delo. Let's just do a poll. Do you think Trent starts against Southampton? Yes or no?
Yeah. Do that. David says, "Lol." So now Trent is flagged. So he's not flagged officially, but he's flagged. He's flagged by the Chasing Green Arrows. As
Mark says, no chance. I think there is a chance Trent plays it and gets. The only reason I think Trent could start is against PSG. If they're winning 1-0, which feasible, Trent gets early subs all the time now. He doesn't like Trent at the end of football matches, especially when he's got players like when Doku was rinsed in the other day. Trent is getting a lot of 70-minute subs, which is good for FPL because he often comes off and banks that clean sheet and you go fine. If Trent gets 70 minutes versus PSG and then another 60, 70 versus Southampton is fine. So let's see the minutes he gets versus PSG. If he plays 90 against PSG, I think he misses out.
Yeah, Derek says he doesn't do much running. Yeah, fair enough.
He's actually been awful defensively of late, hasn't he?
Yeah, look, it'll be an interesting one to look at on Friday as to where we think we sit with
loads to analyse. Right, let's move off Liverpool.
Yeah, I've actually got a few options in terms of strikers that I'm going to put to you, G, and I want to see what you rate of these players as options. So obviously, to just tee it up, everyone, we are looking at a game week whereby Mateta at 7.5, probably not going to be playing. Cunha, 7 million. If you've got him, you need to get rid of him. Isak, 9.4 million. You should at least be considering getting rid of him if you got him. And there's a whole raft of others as well that have had problems from beyond this, before this point that you might be looking to replace in your forward line. So the obvious ones that I've kind of addressed, the obvious one is Haaland and whether to get him in. We've talked about Marmoush as well, but there's a few others that I think are at least worth consideration. I've already brushed over Strand Larsen, who I think is actually a viable Cunha replacement. I don't think many people are going to go there because I think that they won't be convinced that he can do it. But at 5.2 million, with the 4 games that he's got coming up, I think Strand Larsen is a good option. I've got João Pedro on this list. He's 5.4 million.
Oh.
His next games, I just want you to give it a rating. That's all I want is a rating from you out of 10.
I don't know how I feel about him because I still can't work out if he's first choice. He played João Pedro in the FA Cup over Welbeck.
Welbeck just keeps scoring, doesn't he?
And then Welbeck comes on and scores, though.
He keeps coming on and scoring.
The reason why we don't know if he's first choice is because Jorginho Rutter is playing so well in the João Pedro number 10 role. So he's playing Rutter and then one of Welbeck or João Pedro. But yeah, I'm with you, mate. I'd like João Pedro as an option. He's playing really well.
Okay.
So is Welbs.
Beto, Everton, 5 million. He's got Wolves away, West Ham at home his next couple of games.
And it's the 2 that you should be looking at because many that are looking for a forward only need one for 2 weeks because they're wildcarding 31.
Yeah, don't worry about Liverpool in the third one that comes along.
And Beto ticks that box.
Yeah, I think that 5 million, given the form that we've been seeing, do you prefer him to Pedro / Welbeck?
I don't think so, just because I've got confidence issues with the amount of goals Everton score, even in good fixtures. You can see a lot of tight games with Moyes, but I prefer the upside that you might be about to mention their names, but there's a few strikers out there in a similar price band that play for teams that just score more goals. And the Brighton forwards are one of them.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, I see people keep shouting out about Evan Nielsen throughout.
That's what I was going to mention. Like Bournemouth score goals, right?
Yeah.
And so do Brentford, Visser.
Yeah.
But the fixtures aren't as good for either of them.
The fixtures aren't great for either of
29.
them. And they are players that they're going to be on a lot of people's radar already coming into this spell. And I think they're obvious ones to turn to in a moment like this. Of those two, who do you prefer, Evan Nielsen or Visser?
Oh, I think Evan Nielsen because he's so differential. Like this is quite highly owned, and I'm just like, if you're going to steal a march on your mini league rivals, Evan Nielsen must be like 1% owned. I bet this is 12. You know, that's a complete guess. By the way, I've got no idea of either of their ownerships. Yeah. I'm going to check now.
I just want to mention there's a bit of left field, but Delap, 5.6 million. He's got Palace and Forest as his next 2 games. I don't think many people are going to be going here. But if you want a third and you want to do something different, he will score in one of those games. He might score in both.
He's arguably the best forward out of the lot in terms
out of all of them. He is actually the best player.
He's the best player, which is why he's on your radar, because you always look football first, FPL second. So in a way, you've got like this. You know, he's being linked with big clubs. You're talking about him a lot in your day job.
If you were to draw up like an FPL team of like best players. Like, and you just wanted a team that you would like to play in real life.
Yeah.
Liam
in their price bands.
If I knew he was playing against Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest in the next 2 weeks, I'd fancy him to score a goal.
It's just they don't show enough for scoring 2-3 goals a game. And you look at clubs like Bournemouth and Brentford and Brighton, all with budget forwards, and you can back them to score 2-3 goals in any given game.
Yeah, fair enough. And so out of those options I've just given you, I mean, most of them anyway, Delap, one of the most expensive actually at 5.6 million. Yeah, if you consider, Beto's 5 million, for example. And for the next 2 game weeks, Wolves and West Ham, Beto would be a better option, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and I'm going to just use a big man line here, and he's right to bring it up. Which ones are on pens and which ones aren't? Visser doesn't come with pens. Beto does. I assume Beto's on pens. I don't think we've seen that, but I think he will be. Again, João Pedro comes with pens. Evan Nielsen doesn't. Kluivert's on them. Evan Nielsen, ironically, did have pens and missed his first one against Chelsea. And then since then, Kluivert scored about 300. So, yeah. Good option. I mean, we've just gone through at the start of the show all those forward injuries, but you've just listed 4 or 5 budget options who are all legit options too. Like there are a wealth of forwards this year, which is why everyone's playing 3-4-3. You're not playing 3-5-2 at the minute.
Yeah. It's just not obvious this game week as to who you need. And there's still like they're the options that are like 5 to 6 million. And then to get to the other good ones, you've got this kind of Marmoush 7.2 or Haaland 14.7 dilemma, which is really difficult to gauge because you just want Haaland. You don't really want Marmoush, but there's the consideration is like, but I could just take him as a Man City option.
If you had Marmoush in 29 and not Haaland, would you captain Marmoush? I don't think many would. No. Yet you will captain Heartbeat without a second thought.
Yeah, that's true.
Reem says Muniz is low-key good. I still don't know if Muniz is first choice. You're going to get a huge amount of rotation with Jimenez there, mate. And Dean, I guess you agree. Like that could be fixture dependent who starts.
Yeah, I couldn't guess. Fulham away at Brighton. I don't know which way that game's going. You know, we all know on this show how skeptical I am about Fulham matches, and that I don't like to get carried away when it's good, and that I don't like to criticize when it looks bad. And the Muniz versus Jimenez thing, I can't really predict at the moment. Colm, you give me your shout in the comments. You're a Fulham fan. You give us a shout as to whether you give us a rating for both players, Jimenez versus Muniz, as to who you would be picking.
We got some Ramadan stuff.
Oh, nice.
So Slackers, when you mentioned it, I said, Slackers, get on it, knowing. So Slackers has been doing some research for me for my channel, providing me with stats and stuff. So nice. Shout out FPL Slackers. He hasn't started producing content or much of it yet, but do give him a sub or a follow on X, Instagram, TikToks, but also YouTube if you fancy. Slackers is in Vancouver. Ramadan numbers. So this is only from the 23-24 season. He started 4 matches. He was subbed off. I'm trying to 4 times. So he didn't play 90 in those 4.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
2 goals,
2 goals, 0 assists.
no assists, 17 points. So for Salah numbers, that is pretty modest.
That is actually quite modest. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, he's getting about 12 to 16 a game.
Yeah, he's getting 2 returns a game. And that's 2 returns in 4 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also consider the version of Salah we have got at the moment, like one of the best versions of Salah we've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, we've just not seen it. Without doubt, the best version for FPL.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. For FPL, the best version. Exactly that. Colm says there's no Sasha Lukic for the next 2 game weeks.
What, is he suspended?
Well, Fulham, yeah. Muniz is the better player coming off the bench, so I think it will stay that way.
Good point on Lukic, though. He's been
Lukic is a big miss. Yeah, Lukic.
Who are Fulham playing in those 2? Who can? I'm just thinking.
Well, we've got Brighton at the weekend. I'm not sure when's the FA Cup game. I'm not sure if the FA Cup game comes in as the next fixture of that, or if we'll have one in between. I haven't actually looked at that.
I think it's after
this one. Let me just have a quick look at my fixture list here. At the moment, it says he would miss Brighton and Tottenham, but
yeah, Tottenham's the 29 fixture, isn't it? So yeah,
I haven't seen what date the FA Cup is scheduled for. I presume it's the one after that. But yeah,
guys, do hit those buttons. By the way, we'd love you to consider getting us to our next. We're on 90 likes. We'd love the algorithm to like us a little bit better than that.
Yeah, we want to hit 10K soon, man.
Yeah, the subs. Come on. Are we close?
Subs.
What are we on?
I don't know. Let's have a quick look, shall we? Sorry, don't complain about this in the comments. Let's have our moment, see if we're close to getting to 10K. I think
it's all right. 50 minutes into the show to do it was 40 minutes to do it.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? We are at 9,614, I think.
I can't do the maths on that.
We're a few hundred away. Slackers to see that. He's not like your Chat GPT. You can't just get him to run your life for you.
we got 350 odd to 4 to go. We can get there, can we, to the end of the season? Maybe that's pushing it. I don't know.
The more likes we get, the more chance we get rewatches on these. So if you are watching us for the first time, please do like and subscribe, and we'll leave it there.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. We want to take some questions as well. We've still got plenty of time left. We want the questions that appeal to the masses, though. So if you've got a question like, who's the best budget forward to buy, or should we be selling Cole Palmer? Like, not who do I bench, Timothy Castagna or Milenkovic? Like, no one cares.
Yeah, exactly that. Sorry, so Hale says, I made a poor decision for the first time this season. I transferred out Gakpo for Mateta before the cup match. Oh wow. Oh, mate, that's painful.
Mate, my last 2 transfers were Mateta and Cunha, so I can't. And I sold João Pedro and Watkins, who have both been getting points.
Yeah, but so be the game. So be the game. Yeah. This is how it rolls.
Did we do that poll on Trent, by the way? Will he start, yes or no? I just wondered what the outcome was. Yeah, 71% said yes, he'll start. Wow. Interesting that. That's confident on Trent.
That is interesting. Oh, we've had a couple of subscribers since we shouted out. So thanks people that are doing that.
In real time.
There you go. Matthew says, sorry, let's do Brian first. Brian says Palmer out if he blanks again this week. Absolutely no doubt.
I think Palmer out regardless.
Yeah, I agree, actually. Don't worry if
Don't let him score against Leicester and change your opinion.
No, if he scores 4 against Leicester, just take it as a result you deserved and get him out of there. Luke, what's the best chip strategy for FH29?
The best chip strategy for free hit 29 is to free hit 29.
I guess it means how do you follow it up?
The other chips, you cannot wildcard in 30-31 if you're doing that. You can only free hit 29 if you're not planning to use the wildcard over that section. So, like me, Luke, you've probably got to save that wildcard for later. I'm looking at the wildcard window of dead ending in 33, which is double, and wildcarding in the blank in 34. Because if you free hit 29, you don't have a free hit for the other big blank. The other big blank is 34, where the masses will go. You then need a wildcard for 34.
Yeah, Colm said he'd target Fulham after the international break, as we always come back looking tired this season. Yeah, fair point. Before I do Eddie's, I want to do Matthews, who had just asked a question I was going to get to a minute ago. He said, Cunha to Wood this week, as I'll want him in game week 29 anyway. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? Oh, he's not a great fixture for Wood, though.
No, but he does have Ipswich the week after in that 29 fixture.
Yeah, so you take him as a sit in. Is it City they got next? So you take that as a bonus.
Yeah, and then after that, it's Villa and Man United. Like Villa are a defence you can target.
Yeah, true. Eddie says, what about a minus
I
4?
like Rodgers.
Rodgers
I don't think we should be
out
selling
to
Rodgers.
Alanga and Marmoush.
Rodgers scores goals. I know Asensio is now playing as the 10, but Rodgers is still going to be in the 11 on the right, but narrow.
Yeah, I think that's true. Asensio is a tough one to read, isn't it?
It feels like he's now the preferred choice as the 10. And I was like,
Rashford's becoming interesting, mate. Rashford is becoming interesting. He's getting some decent assists and expected assists. So
the Man United, we need the whole podcast for this, but the Man United players that are doing well that have left, McTominay, Rashford, Anthony, like
it's all about environment, isn't it? It's it's just been a poisonous place. And one day they'll all get together and write a book about it. That's what I think they should do, or release a movie or documentary about just what actually it was like. I'd be intrigued to hear about it, away from just like the likes of like Jesse Lingard and Sancho and Pogba, who are the only ones really who you feel like they've been victimized and speaking out. People are like, oh, you're just saying that because you were like bombed out and you weren't good enough. But I think they've probably got a point somewhere along the line. Ice G, away from FPL, do you think all the promoted teams go back down again? Well, Leicester and Southampton are done.
They're already down.
So that only leaves Ipswich, and it just leaves you to consider whether Wolves or Everton are going to be worse than Ipswich in the final weeks. I mean, Everton are way clear at this stage, so they're not going down. So it's basically, can Ipswich catch Wolves? They're currently 5 points off them with 11 games to go. No.
Mate, they spend money as well. The teams that come up spend money, but they can't spend enough money to stay up. And they often keep their managers and then sack the managers. And it's like, the manager you've just sacked is probably the best manager to get you back up.
Yeah, I know.
Look, Southampton sacking it. Like, I get it. He was terrible, but is Juric going to get you back up from the Championship? No, he's not. Russell Martin knows how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely Southampton will change managers in the summer.
I hope so. They can't expect Juric to know that league.
Yeah. Are you excited about the potential of having Leeds back in the Premier League?
Leeds are great. And my father-in-law's a Leeds fan, so I kind of like Leeds' addition in the Premier League. Also, they are a team that have a chance of staying up. The gulf at the moment is so big that you look at all the newly promoted teams every season and go, which one can stay up? And I know it's happened. Like teams like Brentford have come up and then become a top 10, like top half team or middling team. Leeds are the team in the Championship this year that just look like they are ready for the Premier, ready to compete at least, to have a chance of finishing 16th.
Yeah. See if we have Wilfred Nonto or Brendan Aronson in our teams at the start of next season.
Come on, Willie Nonto, getting back in.
Exactly.
Good question about Szoboszlai. Like, he's one of the players that might have to miss Southampton because he's become such a key cog. Like, he's a 90-minute man now, like scoring goals. He's a risky FPL pick, though.
Yeah.
Assistant manager chip. You still get a double-double in 32 and 33. So I think 32, 33. So 31, 2, 3.
That's what I'm planning. Yeah, I'm planning to play 31, 32, 33 for my assistant managership.
And if not, you get a double in 36. So you could do 36, but then singles in 37 and 8.
Yeah.
Not quite as good.
No, it's not quite as good. So the earlier one, Matthew, is definitely looking like the one to go for. Last few minutes, if you want to get in a question, then do it now on Chasing Green Arrows. Let's see if we can rattle through the last...
We'll be back on Friday with the deadline stream as well, won't we? And we've got Big Man's team selection on the Wednesday, so loads to be excited about this week. That Friday stream is going to be massive because reacting to all the Champions League and even the Spurs and Man United games, like press conference news, be a big one.
Absolutely. I mean, I understand the thinking behind this one, but thoughts on ditching Salah from 29 to 33. There are very good captain alternatives, and it could be a way to differentiate greatly for those who are chasing 100 plus mini league points.
Yeah, I just think it's self-sabotage. There are other differentials to pick to gain on mini leagues. Not picking Salah just feels, I don't want to say naive, but naive.
Are you in any mini leagues that you're scared of not winning?
Mate, I'm not winning any of my mini leagues.
I know, that's what I'm worried. But does it bother you, or do you care more about your actual like overall rank?
The only thing that really bothers me is not having a good enough rank to be called up by Sky, the Premier League.
I get it.
I don't actually care if I don't have a good season, but I do care if
You
I
need a
don't get
reputation of
my
sorts.
team's
Yeah.
doing so poorly. It already has massively affected my YouTube views. Like no one wants to watch some guy at 700k. Why do I listen to his advice? I'm beating him. So unfortunately, that's the only thing I really care about is my work. Like not the bragging rights with your mates anymore. Like I've lost that a long time ago, unfortunately. That was my before, but you know.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, there are a couple of channels out there that obviously are consistent in terms of how they have managed to stay up there this season, but there's not many, is there, that have managed to like really maintain a good rank from what I've seen anyway.
No, you're right. There's a lot with not great ranks. Unfortunately, my rank is considerably worse than even the ones that aren't having great seasons. So mine's just been car crash. But
do you know what though? Like, say you like had an amazing end to the season. Loads of people will miss it because they'll tune out in the last 2 or 3 game weeks.
Yeah.
So they won't actually know that.
It almost doesn't matter where you finish. It's how you do throughout. Like having a good start is so key because that's what gets you the views. And then it doesn't matter if you fall off. People forget that. They don't remember your rank at the end of the year. They just remember where you were for most of the year. So even if I have a good finish, I'm still going to be seen as the moron that had a bad season.
Next season, I might come out absolutely flying, use all my chips in the first half of the season.
Yeah.
Be absolutely fly just for the, just for to people like, whoa, look, he's like 10k. It's like, I haven't got any chips left for the second half of the season, but no one's going to know because everyone's going to tune out once their season dies.
There's a content creator called Nathan Bacon. He's a bit of a sort of banter account, but a good FPL manager by all accounts. He used all his chips in the first 3-4 weeks to try and get to world number 1 so he could then write former world number 1 in his YouTube bio. And he does now. He's written like former world number 92 or something because you get there.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks, Cam. Respect G for the rank history. I have had 8 top 50k, which is quite good, but I'm not the best FPL manager in the world. I've never claimed to be.
Best mids at 5.2 or below to facilitate Haaland. Minter at 5 is just like standout, and Saar comes in at 5.5 would be the one behind that. But Minter at 5 million is just the one at the moment.
Oh, look at that graphic! Love that.
We just put that together.
Just whack that up again.
Look at that.
Where is
we are at the cutting edge of YouTube, mate.
Do you know what? We should flash that up every 5 minutes. That's what I
just do that. We never have to talk about it again.
My editor's got strict instructions. If I do a 10 to 15 minute video, that has to come up every 2 minutes.
Oh dear. Mike says he's not here for any advice. He just enjoys the chat. That's nice. Thanks, mate. Yeah, that's what we want. Cunha to Marmoush this game week. Would you do that?
I don't mind it. It just means if you go Marmoush, does that mean you're saying goodbye, Erling Haaland? I won't own you for Leicester in 30. And I think if you go Marmoush, you're not going to go Haaland. So I would just think about rolling and then getting Haaland. But
yeah, please know Ismail Assar talk. He's an absolute troll.
I might buy him this week. So stay tuned for that on Friday. I'm looking for a Palace player. If I free hit in 29, it makes sense to go Palace. Guys, thank you so much for watching. On your way out, hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you on Wednesday.
Cheers, everyone.